Well, good morning, welcome. My name is Will Kessler. I'm the head of school here at Battleground Academy. This is usually the part in assembly where I tell you to sit up straight, face the front. But no, I'm just kidding. You're good. It's good to see all the adults here. So, we are delighted to welcome you here. This is a big day for Battleground Academy. We think a lot about what's the public purpose for a private school, and what would our community lose if Battleground Academy didn't exist. And it's really events just like this. We want to be a hub of community engagement. We want to be a place where when you think of Battleground Academy, you think of excellence, you think of leadership, you think of opportunities for students to go on and do amazing things, whether it's arts, academics, our entrepreneurship program. I've served in counties with difficult schools, and I've served in a county now with incredible school systems. We all benefit from that. I often have people say to me, hey, you're in a private school in a great county school system. Is that difficult? And I say, you know what? It's fantastic, because we're all talking about education. We're all concerned about quality education, and we all want the best for our students. BGA serves that purpose for a certain number of students. I think sometimes people think it's a select group. There's 900 students. It is, this year we had 3.5 to 4 applications for every opening. So it's a rigorous admissions process. By the same token, we want to make it available to every qualified student. We offer over $2 million in need-based financial aid. So as you think about BGA, we want you to think about excellence in education, but we also want you to think about an opportunity for any student that wants to be a part of this community and really needs an independent school. We have the ability to be nimble, to think about things in a different way. And that's not for everyone, but it is great for our students and our families. So we're delighted you're here. If we can ever partner with you in some ways, please let us know. We're just thrilled to host the Williamson Inc. And thank you so much for being here. Now it's my privilege to welcome Matt Largent to the stage, President and CEO of Williamson Inc. Thanks so much.
That was really good. That's great. Thanks. Well, thanks so much, Will. That's great. I mean, you're right. Certainly BGA is part of this great education ecosystem we're so lucky to have here in Williamson County, which is the foundation for our economic development efforts. So, Will said, my name is Matt Largent, President and CEO of Williamson Inc. We're the county's Chamber of Commerce and Office of Economic Development, and I'm thrilled to welcome you to Outlook Williamson today. I want to take just a moment and thank our sponsor today, Middle Tennessee Electric. And on behalf of Middle Tennessee Electric, the United Communications CEO, William Bradford, is going to talk about the importance of broadband and what that means to Williamson County. William?
Thank you, Matt, and good morning, Williamson County. Hey, I woke up this morning with a great sense of excitement and gratitude thinking about coming to my hometown. I'm a Williamson County resident, and I looked at the agenda, and it's really an exciting agenda today, talking about entrepreneurship, relocating here, and a lot of the trends impacting us. And I think fondly back to 10 years ago when my wife and I relocated here. We cut up our credit cards, we took a little too much money out of our 401k, and we moved here to start up an internet company investing in rural Williamson County. And I think fondly back to those days, Matt, you were coming into your role as the leader of this organization. And in that first year being here, I knew we had picked a great community. We moved here because the top priority for us with 4 young kids was finding great schools. And we ended up at Edmondson Elementary and have never looked back and loved that school. But we also knew it was a great business environment. And within the first year of being here, Matt Largent was coming out to little events we had, and you all know them, those kind of events where 10 people show up for a free hot dog, and there's the president of the chamber out here traveling to the country to be at our events. And similarly, Mayor Rogers Anderson reached out to us the first year and said, you know what? We heard you're building broadband in the rural areas, and we think our rural residents need the same kind of connectivity our residents do that live in neighborhoods and live closer to town. And if there's anything the county can do to help that, we want to be a part of that. And after that first year, I knew we'd picked a great place and a great environment that fosters business growth and raising a family. So I want to share that, Matt, and guests, to share with you what you already know, that this is a great place to raise a family and run a business. So if I can, for maybe 10 seconds, I'll plug Project Unite. Project Unite is Middle Tennessee Electric and United's initiative to bring broadband to every single resident of rural Middle Tennessee that lacks access to broadband, and there's still tens of thousands of them. We've partnered with Williamson County just recently to apply for over $15 million of grant funding provided by the state to serve the last remaining Williamson County residents that still lack broadband. And there's still over 4,000 households in Williamson County that lack real broadband today. And we all know how important broadband is, especially coming through 2 years of the pandemic. So we really love the environment here. We love the support. The Chamber of Commerce helped us apply for these grants and wrote letters of support. Mayor Anderson and his team were locked and loaded, and we're willing to do anything it took to bring state and federal grants to the area. So again, it's just a blessing to be here. It's a blessing to serve this community, and thank you.
Great. Thanks, William, and thanks for what you do for our community as well. Again, big thanks to Middle Tennessee Electric, one of our sponsors, Sight and Sotheby's, another sponsor, B&A. Thank you as well for your partnership to make this event possible. Big thanks to all of our media partners as well, the Herald, your Williamson, Southern Exposure, Hippie Radio 94.5, and then finally our food and beverage sponsor. I know the latte station was incredibly popular this morning too, so really appreciate having that today. So who's ready for some charts and graphs? I know that's why everybody comes to this event, is for the charts and graphs. So let's jump right in. So this is pretty extraordinary, I think. This shows the real change in gross domestic product for each state in the country over the last year. And you'll notice Tennessee is actually number one at 8.6%. That is incredible. Yeah, that's worth a clap for sure. Just edging out New Hampshire at 8.5%. This, I think, is really, really interesting, too, because this kind of reflects what I just talked about. This particular chart shows the population change just in rural counties across America over the last 10 years from the last census. This is some analysis done by my alma mater, the University of New Hampshire. It doesn't include the metro areas. It doesn't include big cities or suburbs. This is just rural counties across America. So you get a sense, and population growth and decline really correlates with economic dynamism. So the red means there's decline, the blue and green means there's growth. And I think what really jumps out to me is you've seen growth throughout rural Tennessee, and that's incredibly important. Most of those counties are actually in growth mode, which is not typical, as you can see in the rest of the country. And what we saw last year were a couple different jobs, big jobs announcement in these areas. The Ford plant and the mega site in West Tennessee that's producing the electric vehicle, the Ford F-150 Lightning, and then of course Smith & Wesson relocating their manufacturing and headquarter operations to Blount County. I show this to show that what's good for Tennessee is good for Williamson County, and we're really lucky that it's not just the metro areas that are growing and thriving here in Tennessee, in Williamson County, Middle Tennessee. It's the entire state that enjoyed prosperity. So let's move from national, state now to local. So this is some data that we gathered from a survey we did in January of about 1,000 businesses responded. We do this every year, and I thought it'd be interesting this year to do a look back in 3 years. So when you look at that, this is how would you rate the Williamson County economy? Excellent or good are the not just the two choices. We had all the choices, right? But I just wanted to show this. It's the first time I thought about that. No, there were other choices. People could choose other things, right? But we decided just to show this because this really gives you a sense of where things are. And we just gave away everything about how we survey. Anyway, so this is January of the respective years. So that was done in January 2020. At that point, COVID wasn't a thing, at least here domestically. 2021, it certainly was, and this year, obviously, it certainly was and still is. But I think what's important to look at this is you've got optimism returning closer to those levels you saw basically pre-pandemic. That's a good sign for this economy. That's a good sign for our businesses. How would you rate your specific outlook for your business? So this is not just the economy, this is your business specifically. So we, again, show all the different charts. So it's excellent, good, fair, poor, or unsure. And you see the same thing reflected in this, right? So this is getting back to those levels that you saw basically pre-pandemic. So people are feeling good about the economy, and they're feeling good about their business. And that's obviously really important moving forward. This is something that's been the big question, and I know this is a big question in your companies. What do we do with our space, right? How many days are we home? How many days are we in the office? And so we asked the question in terms, in the next year, which is this calendar year, in terms of physical office space, your business organization needs will likely remain the same, decrease, increase, and unsure. And you can actually see the difference between the 2 years. So that 2021 would have been in the middle of COVID. Obviously now we're looking past that. You're seeing a much bigger percentage of actually increasing the space just this calendar year. Again, it's a good sign for our economy. But then you actually look at the next 5 years and you see even more optimism, and you even saw optimism through COVID. There was still a prediction that people's space would increase, obviously from adding jobs and needing more space. So this was in the next 5 years, and you see how that increase is pretty dramatic too. So this makes us feel good about where the economy is heading. And what are your business's staffing expectations over the next year? This is really what it's about. This is about job growth, adding jobs, creating an opportunity and prosperity for people we care about. That's it. So I think this is really important, because if you look at the difference of 21 and 22, you can see how hiring is dramatically different. In fact, it's even more than remain the same last year, and you can see that cutback is almost minimal. So this is a really good sign that our economy is in full recovery mode, and we continue to add jobs in Williamson County and really throughout Middle Tennessee as well. Speaking of a company that's added jobs during the pandemic, Mars Pet Care. And it's my privilege to get a chance to introduce and hear from their regional president. Ikdip Singh currently serves as the regional president for Mars Pet Care North America. In this role, Ikdip is responsible for the complete portfolio of brands, including iconic brands like Pedigree, Iams, Caesar, Nutro, Sheba, Greenies, and Temptations that serve over 90 million pet-owning households throughout the region. Core to his role is driving the company's purpose, a better world for pets, through its talented associates, brands, and operations. Last year, Ikdip was recognized on Forbes' inaugural CEO Next list, which celebrates the next generation of bold executives, and was named to Pet Age's Power 50 list, which honors people making significant impact on the pet industry. Ikdip is a member of the Fast Company Impact Council, invitation-only collective of innovative leaders. Outside of work, he and his family are avid travelers and gastro-tourists, which can often be found scouring the planet in search of some of the world's most delicious places to eat. Please help me and welcome Ikdip Singh to the stage. There you go.
Thank you, sir. Make sure I have my notes all properly settled before we start. Well, thank you so much for having us here. On behalf of the 1,500 associates that call Williamson County home, we are really proud to be representing some of the work that we do every day. We consider it an honor to actually be a part of this thriving community. And thank you, Matt, for all that you do to actually make it thriving even more. Before I start, I actually wanted to just share a few things. We actually have been here for over a decade now. We are a pet care business. Actually, a lot of you might know Mars from a candy business. But I'll talk a bit about that. But let me just start off with just a bit about myself. We talked about people moving from outside. Me, myself, actually, and my family, we relocated from New York City about 2 years ago in the middle of a pandemic. And we've absolutely loved the Nashville or the greater Middle Tennessee lifestyle. The friendly people, the welcoming community, great restaurants, a lot of good sports. There's a lot of my family just kind of enjoying ourselves. The golfing here is amazing. I belong to the Legends Golf Club just next door. And my kids have really, really enjoyed being a part of the community. You see, we adopted our first, we fostered a dog first, Bubba, and then actually we ended up adopting a pet as well. My parents actually live in Canada, and for 2.5 years, they were not able to visit. Like a lot of you probably had problems visiting your parents and loved ones during the pandemic. I had the same problems, but finally they were able to come over the Christmas period, and so that was really nice. And then you see a small picture of my two kids during Halloween here. My son is, I think he's trying to be an archbishop, I think, and my daughter is trying to be an angel, trying to dance through it. But it's been a lot of fun, and I just want to thank all of you and to this brilliant community, honestly, who's really welcomed us with open arms. Just a bit of myself again. So I've been in the CPG industry, consumer products goods industry, for about 23 years. I spent a lot of my early career with Procter & Gamble. Started my career actually in Toronto, Canada. I'm Canadian. And moved to Cincinnati, Ohio. Lived there for a few years, and then kind of traveled all over the world with them in Europe, in Asia, and then kind of found my way into a French company, L'Oreal. So if you think I'm really beautiful, it's because I'm worth it. There's a lot of secrets behind this. It doesn't come easy. And then actually after 6 years of working on a lot of different brands, including L'Oreal Paris, Maybelline, Garnier, or Giorgio Armani, Mars actually lured me, and they said, well, why do you want to hang out with all these models when you can hang out with pets? And it's been just a beautiful, beautiful journey. I'm very proud to be a Martian, and hopefully by the end of the presentation, you realize why we all are very proud to be Martians. Yeah, Martians. We are not outer planet bodies, but we all do call ourselves Martians. So Mars is actually known to many of you for candies. Like you all know about Twix, you know about M&M's, Snickers, and yeah, we actually have a pretty big candy business. We are one of the biggest in the world. But you might not realize, but actually we are a pet care company first. So Mars Pet Care actually is the bigger of the two businesses. So we are about $45 billion in sales globally. 25 billion of that is in pet care. And I'll talk a bit about what that is in a minute. But that's the first thing. So every time we are trying to enter back into the US through a passport, I always say, where do you work? They say, Mars, oh, the candy company. But nobody knows it's a pet care company. So slowly, we are all trying to educate everybody that it's actually a pet care company too. And a pet care company with the North America headquarters based right here. We are a privately held company, so the Mars family actually owns us. We are not publicly traded. We are actually one of the biggest privately held companies in the world. It's actually the fourth generation that actually owns it. They're very much active in the running of the business. They're on the board. And we are guided by our 5 principles. And the 5 principles are right there. And actually, one of the big 5 principle pieces is the way we actually treat our suppliers. Mutuality is a core belief in our company. We believe that it's not just about us winning, it's about our partners also winning. So in everything we do, it's about a mutuality principle. It's about both of us need to win. It's about a responsibility. It's a responsibility not just to the business itself, but to our community and to the pets we serve. And actually, we are guided by a compass. So our compensations are not based on just financial metrics. We actually have a compass that actually has 4 quadrants. There is financial metrics, but there's also an impact to the community you make, the impact to the pets you're serving, and to the planet you're serving. And we actually get equally compensated for all 4. And so it's taking a very progressive stance on what we call conscious capitalism. It's not just business for just making profits. Now to the pet care business. So we are actually 25 billion globally, $10 billion in the US alone. We actually are making pet food. So you have a lot of the brands. You've heard of Pedigree, Royal Canin, Nutro, Caesar, Sheba, Temptations. But we also are the #1 employer of veterinarians in the world. We actually employ close to about 60,000 people in the US in veterinary care. So all the Banfield hospitals, the VCA, the Blue Pearl, and Acura. We have that business as well. And we also have a digital arm that actually has kinship and wisdom panels. So actually if you ever have a pet, you actually want to do a DNA testing on your pet, we can actually tell you what exactly is the genetic makeup of your test, and we can actually predict the health conditions. And we can also give you a Fitbit for pets that actually tells you if the pet is actually active or if they have any problems. And through the personalization, we can actually give you different diets and a lot of other things. So it's actually quite advanced. It's not just pet food. We have close to 65,000 associates in North America. The pet food business, the pet nutrition business, is headquartered right here in Franklin, Tennessee. And 1,500 associates call it home. We are a thriving business. Over the last 3 years, we have grown by $1 billion. So it's very much thriving. We are even this year growing close to about 12% year to date. We have hired a lot of people, and we are very happy and very bullish about the future of our business as well. So before I start off, just the purpose that we believe in and that guides our business is really about making a better world for pets. And so what better way than to actually show you a video on what that really means.
We know that pets make our world better. And that's why we're committed to our purpose, a better world for pets. And our purpose is more than just a statement. We live our purpose every single day. We're furthering our ambition to end pet homelessness.
The amount of folks that find animals during the adoption weekend, it ranges between 100 and 200 homes. And we are amazed at how many people come to the shelter to just see what's going on because of the marketing that Mars has done, because of everything that they do to use their platform to save as many animals as possible.
Adoption weekend creates a pathway for a demographic of people that might not consider adopting otherwise, and that fits really well into the goals that we have here at the shelter of inclusiveness and equity in our adoption policies.
Ending pet homelessness starts with partnerships, and this is just a great example of that. We're very proud in any capacity to partner with Mars.
We provide new ways to live a life alongside pets through our Better Cities for Pets program.
The Better Cities for Pets program helped Dallas to identify the gaps in our methodology and policies and provided us with a roadmap to help address these inequities.
People want to travel with their pets and are traveling with their pets more frequently. If you've got a community that is open and welcoming to pets, you're going to have a community that more people are going to want to travel to.
At the Nashville International Airport, we try to be warm and friendly to the passengers that come through here. And those with pets treat their pets as a member of their own family. We built a new outdoor pet relief area on our plaza. We built 2 brand new relief areas that are on the curbside. We wanted to participate with Better Cities for Pets.
Mars has really presented us with an opportunity to really captivate an audience that we might not have tapped into holistically before, because we don't have to separate the family anymore. You literally welcome the entire family to our hotels, and it's been tremendously well received, and our partnership with Mars has afforded us the opportunity to do that.
Create a better world for pets. We're all about creating a better world for our travelers. Our travelers now travel with pets. I mean, it's just a beautiful way of coming together. So I know both Mars and Hilton were incredibly mission-oriented. We're truly making a difference to the lives of so many.
We use our brands to make an impact and meaningful change. The Pedigree brand believes every dog deserves a loving home and is committed to supporting pet adoption through innovative programs like Dogs on Zoom. Additionally, through its grant program, Pedigree Foundation supports shelter and rescue organizations working to save the lives of dogs across the U.S. The Caesar brand is on a mission to make the world a more dog-friendly place, starting with the workplace. With the launch of the Hire My Dog campaign, the Caesar brand is helping keep people and their pets together in the office and inspiring advocacy for pet-friendly policies. We are creating a better tomorrow through a more sustainable world today. Through Hope Reef, the world's largest coral restoration program, the Sheba brand is working to restore the ocean. More coral today means more fish tomorrow. And when the reputation of our brand, the innovation of our programs, and the hard work of our associates come together, we can create a better world for pets.
And as I said, the purpose actually defines us. So actually, if you think about the way we approach our business and innovation, it's not actually just looking at products. What we have said is we are not a pet food company, we are a pet care company. And we deeply care about pets right from the time they actually are adopted. So we actually are also the owners of adoptapet.com, which is the largest adoption online portal working with 12,000 shelters in the country. And all the way through the life journey of the pet, we want to be the best pet parenting partner. And that's our ambition. And so every time a pet parent has a problem, we want to solve that. Be it through products, be it through advice, be it through services, we want to be the best companion that you can have for raising a pet together. And to that point of a purpose, ending pet homelessness is really important. We are proud to say that actually through the pandemic, we actually saw pet adoption rates actually go up. 21 million families in the US actually adopted pets over the holidays. And actually it was great because it's also proven through a lot of research that pets actually help humans deal with anxiety, and it was a really dark period for us through the pandemic. So they have been great companions. And I want to talk a little bit about adoption. It's a beautiful video to actually bring this purpose to life.
I imagine Bandit's first owner was a brilliant astronomer. And Bandit was her loyal assistant. Together, they searched the cosmos for signs of intelligent life. Until one night, they're coming! Quick! Intelligent life found them. The aliens beamed up the astronomer, but their dog tractor beam wasn't working. So the ship took off, and Bandit got left behind. I mean, why else would someone give up the greatest dog in the world?
And so it wouldn't be Mars if we didn't take this opportunity to actually make a difference as well. So now you see some beautiful and handsome looking dogs in between you. There's some pictures there. There's actually a few others here. And we see Tully, Katie, Scully. They're all available. There's actually a total of 10 dogs available for adoption today. And for today, we'd also cover the adoption fees for anyone who actually does want to go and take one of these pets home with you. We really want to recognize the Williamson County Shelter as well for the great partnership that we have. They have been amazing partners through this journey. So we were asked to actually also share, what are the 3 big topics or insights that you guys are all grappling with as you come back to work, and how do you look at 2022 as a year, or even moving forward? And we thought, what better way to actually talk about 3 things? The first one is the power of pets. The second is the future of work. And the fourth one is the importance of diversity. So let's talk about the power of pets. I alluded to earlier, the adoption rates in the US are going up. We know that pets make a huge difference in human lives. And we actually believe that there's actually more and more room for us to just make it a better place in the world for pets. Be it through our work, not just on adoption, but also on making better cities for pets. We talked about how we can have cities that have more parks available for pets, how the housing can be more acceptable, the shelters are more humane and actually more giving. So we actually have a Better Cities for Pets program, and we are proud to say that actually we created that program starting here in the Williamson County. A couple of years ago, we didn't know what this program really meant. And actually it was this county and the people in this county who actually partnered with us to actually create what that might look like. And now we have close to about over 100 cities that are actually partners in this program. So we really want to thank the city for that. The second piece is actually in my own house, we actually welcomed a dog, actually. So you see Cockapoo. It was a Christmas gift for my kids. Her name is Mira, and she's been quite the bundle of joy. I grew up with dogs all my life, and I really wanted my kids to have the same companionship. And my son is 2 and my daughter is 6. And so we felt that it would really be a great companion in the house, and it has been. Yesterday, she got a present for them as a rat that she had killed outside. My wife was panicking. But it's always fun in the house. But we are trying to make the world a more accepting place for pets. You talked about the BNA program in the Nashville airport. We are very grateful for all the partnership. But we're also working with other airports in the world. We want to make travel more friendly. We want to make dogs more acceptable in hotels. Half of the Hilton hotels worldwide are now accepting pets. It's a big breakthrough. And actually, the more we can actually enable pet parents to travel with their pets, it makes it much better. There's anxiety when you have to leave your pet behind on what is going to happen to your pet. This is a picture also, just this weekend, we actually opened our first dog park right with the Preds in the major stadium. So we're very happy that the entire community, honestly, is really embracing our purpose and kind of we are trying to make, like, this Middle Tennessee area the best of the best in demonstrating our purpose, how it comes to life. We actually also think that the future of work would actually, a lot of pet parents, when you talk to them, a lot of parents actually didn't have to go to the office during the pandemic. And when you ask them, well, what is the biggest concern that you do have while coming back to work, a lot of them are actually saying, well, we don't want to leave our pets behind at home. And actually 64% of Gen Z dog owners would change their jobs or reduce their hours so that they could spend more time with their pets. So actually we thought, well, why not come up with a great idea to bring this insight to life? So with that.
Hi! Oh, you are so cute.
Are you Frank? Because you look like a dog. What am I supposed to do? Interview this dog?
Oh, whoa. Oh, hey, you do that again? What? High five.
I'm a little, okay. Should I just start asking questions?
This is a weird freaking interview.
This is actually a campaign that we are running. It's not just made for this session. So we are trying to make a whole endeavor. Actually, our Franklin offices are designed to be pet friendly. Starting from, actually all associates can bring pets to work. We have all our furniture, all the carpets designed in a way that are dog friendly. We actually have the outdoors that are all pet friendly, no allergies for all the vegetation around. So if any of you actually want to make your offices pet friendly as well, we are happy to give you any tips and advice on how to go about doing that. But moving aside, actually, there's also a lot of other things that we are looking at as associates come back to work. So of the 65,000 associates, I want to first start off by saying close to 60,000 of them, we were able to keep them coming to their office space on a regular basis, be it through our 20 factories in North America, be it through our 2,500 hospitals. They were all coming to work through the pandemic safely. And now the question really is about the remainder of office workers who actually were working remotely. So how do they come back to work? What is going to be the reason for them to actually come together? Because we've kind of gotten used to the convenience of actually having the ability to do what we need to do at home and also kind of attend to work. And we are grappling with that. And what we have come back to as a company that is very relationship-based is that we need associates to come back for building a community. So if it's anything linked with training, if it's anything linked with culture, about purpose, we all come together. If there's any speakers coming in to inspire us, we all come together. For meetings that actually require collaboration. So it's about exchange of ideas. We actually feel there's a lot of body language that cannot be actually understood a lot of times if you're doing it over video. And we actually need to have debate. We believe in confrontation of ideas. It's the open exchange of ideas, and it's okay to disagree. And actually it's harder when you do it over video. So we need to have more and more of that actually happening. And actually with that in mind, what we are thinking of is actually calling it Pet Connection Days. So we actually are going to have every week, we are saying we're going to have flexibility for associates to come, but we actually require them to try and come about 3 days a week to work. And within that, we're actually working it bottom up, looking at function by function, which days would you all want to come in to achieve those objectives? Be it training, be it apprenticeship as well. We have 40% of our population base was hired during the pandemic. So how do you actually inculcate the culture? How do you train people if they're all remotely based? So for all these regions, like, if you want to have one-on-ones with your managers, you should come into work and actually have those connections that are really important for us. So 3 days a month. And then what we have also done as a leadership team is 1 week in a month. That is where we actually have our monthly business reviews. But that's also where we want to focus all the external provocations coming in. Be our activities in purpose activation, be it business leaders coming in from around the country talking to us about different inspirations, or could be anything that we really want to bring our associates to life. So the whole idea is for people to come together, and when they are here, we try to create something special. We try to create some kind of a celebration. We try to get some food, some drinks, some kind of, anniversaries. The whole idea is to celebrate each other because that's really important about who we are as Martians. The big piece, the last piece actually I want to talk about is just the importance of diversity. And diversity is something really important to us. Diversity is important to us for a couple of reasons. First, it is in our moral compass. We want to actually represent the change we want to see in the world, and that's important for us. Second is we actually are seeing a huge, if you look at the pandemic, 1/3 of women who are employed have actually considered quitting their job because it's hard for them to go back to work. And so how do you create an even playing field for everybody so they can all thrive in their careers? It's really important for us. And then lastly, what I would say is most of the jobs that we are actually building is all coming into the digital side of things. So be it e-commerce, be it digital marketing, be it data analytics, and a lot of these talents are actually diverse. And today we have a big problem. We can't attract them to the Middle Tennessee area or to the South. And we have to help change that perception. We actually have most of the talents accept the job and then say we want to stay in Jersey or they want to stay in California. And yeah, we can do that, but it's not optimal. And I'm a perfect example of somebody who has moved and actually has thrived in the community, but we need more of that. And I'm really proud that we are going to be very active in this community. We have strong partnerships. We are big sponsors of UNCF. We have a lot of scholarships going on. We are big sponsors of Backfield in Motion, Boys and Girls Club of Tennessee. And we are doing a very active role in all of that community. We are very happy with the moves that have been taken in the Williamson County in the removal of the Confederate flag from the seal. The Juneteenth, we are going to be sponsoring that in the community, and the Pride activations. We actually have our head of EI&D, Mr. Travis Lester, who's here, but he's actually very active in the community, meeting with most of the business leaders on how we can actually shape the agenda to actually take this forward. And we are also very active in honoring different diversity. We have close to about 30 ARGs, we call it, in the company, making sure that everybody feels included in the communities. So I thank you for all your support on that. It's important as a community we actually make this a thriving community for all. So with that, I just want to I just want to end by saying we believe that Mars is thriving and it'll continue to thrive, and it's because of the connections we have with this great community. We think it's one of the best places to actually do business. I was super happy to see all the statistics, and it's not a surprise. If any of you own homes, you know how expensive things are getting here. But it's really a remarkable place, and it's all about connections, and that's why we are here. We are here to connect with you. If we can help you in any way, we are part of the Williamson County Business Network. We have a powerful army of 10 people here who can network with you today. But on any of these things, if you want to talk about pet care, you talk about future of work, any business idea as well, we are always happy to network, talk, and help you. So with that, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to present today.
You're going to sit right there. Great job. We're actually got a few minutes to do a little Q&A with Dig Deep, so thank you so much for the presentation. We appreciate it. Appreciate everything you do for our community, and I'm personally glad to see you're excited to see the charts and graphs, so thanks for that, too. Let's go ahead and jump in just to the few of the questions that we decided we want to talk about. So this event is Outlook Williamson. It's all about trends that shape the future state of the economy in Middle Tennessee, Williamson County, and country, and obviously what happens outside our borders affects what happens here in Williamson County. So I'd love to get your perspective about things when it comes to inflation, COVID recovery, political instability. Talk about how you think, your perspective on that, working in a global company, and what that means right here to Williamson County, Middle Tennessee.
I think we are all grappling with the macroeconomic environment right now. I mean, COVID actually changed a lot of things. So if I look at what's happened from a trend standpoint, we talked about adoptions that have gone up in our industry. We talked about digitization that has gone up. So in our category, the e-commerce business pre-pandemic was about 20% or so of the business. It is now at about 28%, and we believe it's going to be about 33% of our business moving forward. So consumer habits have changed, and the convenience of that is not going to go back. I mean, they might go back to shopping in store, but I think the convenience and the fear factor of, well, should I buy online or not? Is it really going to work or not? That's gone. So I think some of those factors are coming in. I think there's a big piece. We got caught very heavily with Omicron in the end of the year. Our factories, it was very hard to get production running because we had close to about 390 associates who were out due to just getting ill because of COVID. And it was hard for us to continue running our schedules. And it was not just us. Across the industry, there's been shortfalls. So in the manufacturing side of it, yes, but you also have suppliers who were supplying raw materials, they could not supply. And so that's why you probably saw a lot of outages on shelf if you were in the stores in January, February. Things are getting better. We are seeing COVID kind of getting behind us, knock on wood. But then what has also happened is there's all this volatility and inflation coming in now, be it through all the money that has been printed, but be it also through the supply chain disruptions, port blockages that are also there, labor inflation that is also here to stay. So I think overall, the inflation environment is probably going to stay the way it is, if not get a little worse, I believe, in the next few months. The Fed is increasing the interest rates, and with that, there should be a tapering of that. But I believe that inflation is probably going to continue to grow a bit more for the next few quarters before it comes down.
Right, thanks for that. I appreciate that perspective. You mentioned how much the company has grown and hired through the pandemic as well. So talk to us about your approach to associate development. And I would say, too, we have a lot of businesses in this room of different size companies, small, medium, large size. So what advice would you have to those companies, both around development, especially as it relates to retention? That is something that every company is struggling with, is retaining and attracting the best employees. What would your advice be?
No, I think one of the things I said, we are all very proud Martians, and what makes us proud is, yes, the business, but not really. It's actually the smell of the place. And actually, I would, if I were to survey most of you, if you have any friends who are Martians, I'm sure you'd probably say, well, they're great people and they all love it. And that's really what makes us really proud. It's actually the people that work at Mars. I kid you not, I've worked 25 years in the industry, and by far, Mars has the best culture I've ever seen. And what makes it so? The first thing really is we are a private company, and it's a family-owned company. So the concept of relationships is super important. It's not the what, it's the how you do it. And I think that will be very common to a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of family businesses as well, because it's about humans in the end. Business is output. If you look after your people, the people look after the business. And at Mars, we firmly believe in that, and that's how we behave every day. We are proud for 10 years, our engagement, we do surveys every year, and our engagement scores are 80 percentile for 10 consecutive years, one of the highest in the country for 10 consecutive years. And what that means is if you survey people and you ask them, are you willing to go above and beyond to actually deliver results for the company, 80% would say yes. That means engagement levels, not even maybe, it's yes, a firm yes. And that comes through just day in and day out, making sure people are there. The things we do, for example, in any given year, there is a work plan that is about objectives that you have to deliver, but equally important is your personal development plan. So how are you, what is happening with you, what do you think is actually not making you achieve your potential? not just for doing this job, but also for potentially the next level. And honestly, it's honest discussion where the associates are actually proud to say, hey, I actually have a problem not being able to communicate what I'm really feeling openly and actually have that confrontation and cause some tension. I feel really bad about it, as an example. And then you will actually talk about 70% of the training would be at work, through your manager, through your peers, through the work that you'll do and the project that will make you lead. 20% would actually be through a project or actually a training that we'll send them on, and 10% is through coaching. We'll actually hire external coaches and actually get you assessments from Korn Ferry or different associates to actually help you with that. So we spend a lot of money actually just developing our people. When we hire people, we don't hire people for just 1 year, 2 years. Our intention is to hire them for life. And our attrition rates, we're proud to say, is actually one of the lowest in the country. I mean, through the pandemic, even now, knock on wood, I mean, it's in the low, single-digit numbers that we see. And so that's kind of some of the things.
That's great. I love the line about taking care of your people and they take care of the business. It seems so simple, but a lot of people miss it. And I think you may have a lot of people in the audience or who know people who work at Mars or aspire to work at Mars. So what do you look for when you hire associates? What are the things that maybe you wouldn't think of and necessarily that you're really focused on when you're doing those interviews and evaluations on the front end?
I would say, competence is a given. I mean, if you're hiring somebody for a supply chain job, of course they're going to be good in supply chain. But I think what we all spend a lot of time is on fit. And when we talk about fit, we need people to be humble. That's a very important criteria for us. We have something called the associate concept. The associate concept means that all of us are associates. So all 10 of us that are here, you can ask them, when I'm not here, but we are all equal. There's no reserved parking spots for me or a corner office. We all have the same size desk. We all have, if I'm late to work, I can't find parking. I have to park on the 3rd floor and find parking for myself. And that level of humility and lack of ego is at the core of who we are. We are not here. We don't think we are any better than anybody else. And the second piece is just about a sense of responsibility. Those 5 principles we talked about, we are looking for values and principles, and if this person is actually going to be there, times do get tough. All businesses go through good times and they go through tough times. But we want people with resilience and the commitment to actually stand together as a team to weather through it. So those are the 2 things I'll call it.
I love your principle of mutuality. I use that a lot when we're talking about whether it's a business deal or even conversations with our team members. That principle, I think, is so powerful. It's really great. So let's pivot from talking about Mars specifically and your perspective on global affairs to some of the things that are affecting the pet care industry. So you mentioned ending homelessness is really important. So talk about some of the trends in pet care, and then what are some very specific things you're doing to end pet homelessness in America?
So I think the pet trends in general, I would say, you've seen in our parents' generation, pets used to be in your backyard. And in our generation, we are seeing pets in our beds, especially with your kids. Probably they're sleeping with the pets. And that's led to humanization of pets, right? So what you think is what's good for me. I'm a vegan, so pet should be a vegan. I eat supplements, my pet should eat supplements. Jokes aside, but I think that's kind of like a big trend. So you see a lot of fresh foods coming out, a lot of ingredient-focused foods, supplements growing for pets. Also, what's also happening is through digitization, people are just getting more concerned about their health. And when you're concerned about your health, your pet is a part of your family, you're concerned about your pet's health. And so earlier you had to go to a vet to actually get a checkup done. Now through digital devices, you can actually just go online and type in something and you can get free advice. And if you want somebody to actually have a tele-vet appointment, you can do it like this. And you can actually get advice to how to actually make your pets be healthier and live longer lives. So those are some of the trends. I think digitization and humanization, those are the 2 biggest trends in the industry. And to your last question on adoptions, I think in general, our vision is that pets make the world a better place, and we want to make the world a better place for pets. And we do that by making sure that we can have all pets find a forever home. Having abandoned pets is heartbreaking when you go and see some of the shelters, and hence we take it very seriously. Deb is here, who's leading a Pedigree Foundation. We work with over 2,000 shelters here in the country, helping with adoption. As I also mentioned, we also bought adoptapet.com, which works with 12,500 shelters. We also are working with, we bought a company called Pet Exec. It actually is a software that goes into almost all shelters. The big insight here is shelters don't have much money to actually have good IT infrastructure. So we actually provide that for free to all the shelters, so they can actually help do the good job that they're doing. So some examples.
That's great. And I know that the city of Franklin actually was the pilot program for Better Cities for Pets pre-pandemic, and so the city was all on board to make sure that be in principle mutuality, right? Benefiting the city, benefiting the company, ultimately benefiting pets. So let's finish up by talking a little bit about you. So you mentioned you moved here 2 years ago from New York City, I believe.
Yes.
So what are some of the things you've enjoyed about this community, maybe even restaurant recommendations for people in the audience? What have you liked about here, and what are some places that people must eat if they're gastro tourists like you and your family?
I have to be honest, I moved here in the middle of the pandemic. So the first thing that is funny was like when I came from New York, everybody, it's a densely congested city and everybody was so paranoid. And we all had masks. And then I came here and there was like no COVID. Like, what's going on?
That does sound like Tennessee.
But it's now, you become part of the fabric and you're like, yeah, what COVID? But it's just phenomenal how there were two different worlds out there.
Yeah.
But it's honestly, what I've loved is just, I think it's such a beautiful part of the country, first of all. Like even in the pandemic, when we were still keeping social distance, it's just a stunning place. Just traveling around, even going to Gatlinburg or going to, Asheville and places like that. It's just a beautiful, beautiful part of the town. Second is the people I've met are just phenomenal. Family-oriented, really welcoming. My kids go to school here in the city, and we have met so many parents through that. And we've actually become part of that community. Like most of the guys know, you lose all your friends when you have kids, and your friends are now kids' dads. And that's kind of like...
it's a limiting pool. It's a limiting pool.
And that's kind of my life as well. But I've got to say, it's been a ton of fun. And I was never a bourbon drinker. And I've developed quite the fondness for bourbon now. And then for, just the city for, the sports as well. There's such a vibrancy coming out. I'm looking forward to the new soccer stadium opening up and going for the first opening game. That'll be super fun. But the Preds have been great. Titans was a big disaster for me that they didn't make the playoffs, but I did go and support the Bengals because I lived in Cincinnati for a while. But it's just been, this is a great city. There's so much positive momentum. And it's just with that positivity and the momentum and the influx of people coming in, I think I'm so bullish. And actually, I feel that I'm very lucky to be living in such a vibrant community. Because with growth comes so many opportunities, and that's really good.
That's great. Growth it is about opportunities for friends, family, neighbors. That's why we do what we do in economic development. Ikdeep, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Matt.
We'll be back at 9:15. 9:15. Thank you. Great.
That's good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Welcome everybody back to the second session of our event. We appreciate it, and we're excited to really transition to talking about entrepreneurship and the importance of entrepreneurship at every level in our community as well. And as I set the stage for this conversation and doing a little research for this event, this is actually one of the most interesting and one of my favorite charts that I found about business growth across the country and in Williamson County specifically. So what this chart shows is the change in physical business establishments in the last 3 years. It looks at Q3 of 19 to Q3 of 2021. And same with the other chart, that red shows a decline, blue shows an increase. And so if you just kind of look at this chart, you can see Idaho, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, Western North Carolina has seen a significant increase in business establishments over the last years, physical business establishments. If you drill even further, what we found is that Williamson County was the number 5 county in America for physical business establishments net growth over the last 3 years. So not only did we survive the pandemic, we actually thrived through the pandemic. And you had a lot of people risk capital, open these businesses in Williamson County. So you see 1,800 more new businesses in Williamson County than before the pandemic. That is incredible and really speaks to the dynamism of this community in Williamson County. And we've done something specifically to support entrepreneurs. We opened the Innovation Center at Franklin Grove last summer. Really excited about this project. It's for companies looking to scale and grow their business in Williamson County. Specifically, this is on the campus of Franklin Grove in downtown Franklin. A great, unique partnership with the Heritage Foundation. If not for their generosity, we couldn't do this, so we greatly appreciate that. These are some interior shots. Basically, we took individual rooms in the house and made those dedicated office space for entrepreneurs in Williamson County. And there's some great outdoor space as well. You can see a kitchen area, the porch is great, and there's upstairs, there's an area too for collaboration. We have a couple open spots, so if you're interested, if you know someone that's interested and would be a good fit, companies looking to collaborate and scale their business is really the companies we're looking for. So it's franklininnovates.com. And with that, it really sets the stage for the conversation we're going to have today. And it is my pleasure to introduce Nick Beneker. He is our Vice President of Entrepreneurship and Small Business Development, and Hallie Hyder. She is BGA's Director of Entrepreneurial Leadership. They're going to facilitate a conversation around entrepreneurship in Williamson County. Take it away.
Thanks, Matt, and thank you all for coming out today. We're really excited about this panel. I think we've been talking about small business and entrepreneurship in Williamson County for a lot of years. Now we have a really tangible asset in Franklin Grove. So I'll echo Matt's thanks to the Heritage Foundation. Without them, we still would not have an innovation center, at least not through Williamson Inc. in Williamson County. So thank you to them. There's really been a growth across, obviously, our educational systems as well in entrepreneurship. So we're excited to have Hallie here representing BGA. And obviously, Williamson County Schools made a huge investment with their EIC as well near Franklin High School. If you haven't seen that yet, I'll make the quick plug for Jeremy and Paula, whoever they are. I know they always are happy to have mentors from the business community involved with that space. So if there's an opportunity for you or somebody at your business to participate, reach out to Jeremy or Paula with Williamson County Schools. They're in the middle of the room. But with that, I'll pass it off to Hallie. She can chat about where we're sitting today a little bit in the program here that's growing and introduce the students.
Sure, thank you, Nick. I'll also put out a shameless plug that we are keen for mentors in our program as well. So feel free to connect with all of us. Glad for you to be here this morning. Thank you so much. Welcome to our latest resource on BGA's campus, the Sandra Morris and Robert N. Moore Class of 52 Center for Arts and Entrepreneurship. Again, we really appreciate you being here with us this morning, and we'd like to introduce you to some of our youngest entrepreneurs here in Williamson County. Grace Simmons from the Williamson County School System, to be specific, Centennial, correct? And Sophie Bruff, who is here with us at Battleground Academy. So with that, we'd like to hear a little bit more about you. Grace, can you tell us who you are, a little bit more about who you are, a little bit about Centennial and the program in the Williamson County School District. And then last but not least, tell us a little bit about your current venture.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a senior at Centennial High School this year. I've lived here in Williamson County my whole life, so 18 years. Lived in the same house for 18 years in McKay's Mill, so a little bit different than ICDEEP, but I love it here. Next year I'm going to Baylor University to study entrepreneurship, and I'm really excited. So kind of what made me engage in my school's entrepreneurship program is, so Williamson County does this thing where you're supposed to take a career technical or engineering course for 3 years. So whether it be engineering, marketing, film, TV, you're supposed to take that for 3 years. And so my sophomore year, I got involved in the marketing program at my school, and I decided it wasn't really for me. It was kind of textbook work, but it was something I was always interested in. And this was the first year that the EIC was there, and so then my junior year, as I was registering for classes, I was like, well, what am I going to do? I need 3 years to graduate, and so Then the EIC came, they talked to my school, and they highlighted all their amazing technologies, and the space is absolutely incredible, the leaders. And then they added that it's only 20 students per school, and I'm very competitive, so I was like, I'm getting in that program. And obviously I got in, and so I'm sitting here today in front of all you as a representative of the EIC, and I tell people it was probably the greatest thing that I could have done for my high school career. I've launched my small business, Kids Create Fun Create, which I'll probably give you an elevator pitch here in a minute. But just the people I've been exposed to, the mentors, the leaders. I was able to meet a business lawyer this year. I got my logo trademarked. I have a website, and so it's just really been a really great thing for me. And so my business, I have products, and they're actually for sale today, so if you do want to buy them, always go to market. So kind of how it started. So in the summer of 2019, my freshman year, I was raising money to go on my first international mission trip to Moldova. So you probably heard it, it's a lot in the news right now. It's right next to Ukraine, so they're seeing a huge influx of refugees. And so to raise money, I would host these parent night out parties. So, because I realized if I babysat 20 kids at once, I would get 20 times the money. So it was crazy, it was fun, but I was able to raise all my money that way. And so I would host parties like Princess or Pirates. And so that summer I had probably the time of my life. It was one of the greatest trips I've been on. And it was amazing. And I was planning to do that same thing 2020, and I feel like y'all probably know where this is going. It's kind of where all the stories are going right now. But COVID happened. And as I was talking to parents who used to have kids come to my parties, I realized that parents were really struggling with trying to find things for their kids to do. There was one family in particular, and her kids had just gotten diagnosed with diabetes, and they couldn't do anything. They couldn't go out, they couldn't do anything. And then statistics that got me was that kids are on their screens for 7.5 hours a day instead of the recommended 2 hours. So I wanted to find something that was engaging, fun, helped kids, and was just, something fun in a hard time. So we launched Kids Create Fun Create. So in August 2020, we launched it. We now have done 7 different editions. So our goal is to inspire creativity, confidence, and innovation within kids through our boxes. And we've actually sold over 600 products now, today's date. Hey. Thank you. So what her product is that there's 10 different items in a box, and so it comes with games, recipes, and crafts, and so everything has super easy to follow instructions with all the supplies included. So that way a parent doesn't have to try to find everything. It's all in the box right there. The only thing that's not included is scissors. And so now currently it's a subscription-based model company. Now we're trying to talk to bulk purchases. In January, we partnered with Nickel Investment Company, which has apartment buildings in Memphis, Florida, South Carolina, and they bought a bulk purchase. And we're currently talking to the Tennessee Titans and possibly the Preds about doing a kids club box. And finally, I just want to end with a statistic on why we think, obviously it's a small business now, but why we think this can grow is that today, 205 million Americans have at least one subscription service. And by 2025, the market is expected to reach $478 billion, representing a CAGR, so compound annual growth, of 68% since 2019. So we think this business can really go somewhere.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Grace. Yes. As a high school senior, that's a fantastic accomplishment. We're going to ask you the same set of questions, Sophie. So if you can tell us a little bit about yourself, your high school year, and your current venture.
Yeah, so I'm Sophie Bruff. I am a senior here at BGA, and our EL program begins in freshman year, and then we work up to senior year capstone, which is what I'm in now. And we work on a venture, and it's sort of like Shark Tank. So we present to a group of investors, and my team recently won our competition this past Friday. And, thank you. And so my venture is a paper straw that has a color-changing reaction when it interacts with a drug in a drink. And when a college or a bar purchases a bulk order, we provide them with education and resources on how to handle drug drink situations and sexual assault awareness.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sophie. Also really impressive for a senior in high school. All right, with that, I would like for you to both give the audience your 60-second elevator pitch. So, Sophie, do you want to start us off, and then we'll come back to you?
Yeah, it's kind of what I just gave also. But I can do it again.
That's true. Actually, it's pretty close. Would you like to just pass over to Grace?
Yeah.
All right,
I kind of just gave you my
fair
whole
enough.
60-second elevator pitch too, so I'm gonna
Yeah, I think you
pass
pretty
back
much
to
checked
you.
that box. All right, fair enough. All right, so tell us the inspiration behind your businesses. Why did you decide, hey, I really need to help consumers understand what might be in their drink? And likewise, you talked a little bit about the reason behind, but maybe there's a little bit more to the story. So, Sophie, why don't you start us off, and then we'll head over to you, Grace.
So recently, a friend of mine was at a college party, and her drink had been drugged, and she didn't realize it, and luckily she was with a friend who recognized her symptoms and was able to bring her home. But I'm a high school senior, and I'm going to be going to college soon, and I have a lot of friends who will be going to schools with lots of parties, and there's going to be drinking because college. And so I was looking into solutions of like how to prevent this, and there wasn't a good solution on the market. There was a few products that are kind of like a pregnancy test for your drink. You have to put like drops of your drink onto it, and it gives you one line or two, and that wasn't a clear enough way to tell if your drink had been drugged. So we designed a product that is like in your drink constantly, and so it's always checking, and it will have a color-changing reaction once a drug enters your drink at any point during the party or your bar experience.
Wonderful. Okay, awesome. Grace.
Yeah, I mean, so kind of just what I mentioned earlier is just what inspired it was kind of COVID, but we've seen obviously immense growth through our business because I really just want something fun for kids to do in a time where social media is super prevalent. So I feel like kids, I got two younger sisters, one in a freshman and then one in 7th grade, and I don't think they went through the awkward middle school phase, so I'm a little jealous about that. But I think with the, creation of social media and kids getting phones younger and younger and screen time being more and more, that they're kind of missing this whole element of fun. And so I just wanted something fun for kids to do, and my goal is to be able also to just give back to my local community and then also internationally as well.
Wonderful. Okay, with that, I'd like to turn it back over to Nick to help us to get to know our other entrepreneurs on the panel.
Yeah, so William and Claire with us here today. Thank you guys for making the time. I think you guys were our first tenants. So July, August of last year, you moved into the space. We'll follow their format. Introduce yourselves, kind of the inspiration behind the company, and where things are at today.
Thank you. Well, hello, I'm Claire Crunk, Mrs. Battleground 2002. They said I had to say that. So my company is Trace Fem Care. We make menstrual products from hemp fiber, so tampons and pads, and we're the first ones in the world to do it. And I was really excited to find the Innovation Center last year. I started my company in 2020 in the middle of pandemic, so in the middle of Zoom world, working with global manufacturers, global supply chain, and my two partners, one of whom lives in Franklin, the other who lives in, did live in Cincinnati. He was with Procter & Gamble, but he moved to Franklin this weekend, so we can now say we've officially brought a real job to Williamson County. And just on a startup budget, was really grateful to find a space that was beautiful, collaborative with other startups in our price point on our startup budget. So really excited. We'll be on market in March of 2023. And don't worry, next year I'll bring all the tampons for you.
So my name is William Frawley. I work for a company called Tsa Hearing. I did not start it. I do not own it, but I was the first employee. I was called up from the minor leagues yesterday afternoon to come and do this. So real short notice. But so the gist of the company is Tsa Hearing we're the first and only pursuit-based hearing protection on the market. So we make high-end earplugs, more or less, for hunters and shooters. Inspiration behind the product is forever, there hasn't been ample or sufficient a listening experience for hunters and shooters. Protecting your ear is easy. There, I just protected my ear. That part's easy. But what was failed to do by other companies is create a premium listening experience for the hunter and shooter. And so that's where we came in. We actually launched in August of 2019, so pre-COVID. I started in April of 2020 at the start of COVID. And so we've been around for about 2 years now, and again, we're the first and only pursuit-based hearing technology on the market. So legally, we're the only ones that are allowed to do it. The device itself acts as a filter. more or less, and it only lets in what we tell it to. So for hunting, turkey hunting specifically, you're going to get to hear the gobbles, the clucks, the spitting and drumming, the yelping, and everything you need to hear for turkey hunting and nothing else. And then when the gun goes off, it gets shut down. We've got proprietary programs for waterfowl, range shooting, upland hunting, deer hunting, elk hunting, rattlesnakes, small game, wild hogs, everything, stuff like that. But we also love the EIC, or not the EIC, the Heritage Foundation as well, for giving us a place to come and work, because previously we were working in Mount Juliet at one of the owner's audiology practices, and then Tornado 2020 comes through, takes the office down. So we went from there to Bill's house, one of the owners, and I think I can confidently say that the Heritage Foundation saved Bill's marriage.
I'm sure Bill's wife loved having you there every day, William.
Well, and I was just fixing to say, it more than likely saved the marriage, but it 100% saved Miss Lisa from catching a murder case, from killing me, showing up and messing up her house every day. But yeah, the building has been a huge blessing for us. It allowed us, again, to get out of Bill's house, but to actually have an office to where we can go in and be in a place with other companies, and just kind of have that work environment in a place where Zoom has taken over a lot of the business world. But I've always loved being able to go into an office, and so all of us, I can speak for all of us and say that that's been a huge blessing for us.
That's great. So we have a room full of Williamson County fans, supporters here today. So a big part of this event is kind of highlighting the things the county does really well and looking where the opportunities are and what challenges are presented. So I would love to hear, sticking with you both for a minute, just what's it like to start a business in Williamson County? What does the county do really well as far as how it supports small businesses, and what are things we can improve on?
So this is my third company, and my husband owns a company in Williamson County as well. Trace is the first company that we've had, though, that has not been a professional service. So my husband's, he's a civil engineer, he's in development. I was a nurse practitioner, owned a clinic, and then had a consultancy for hemp fiber supply chain development for the textile industry. And that was a very supportive, Williamson County was a very supportive environment for that. I will be honest and say, as a startup of a consumer product now, it's been a little different. So, we've had to fundraise for this company. And this area is very heavy in real estate investment, in health tech investment, mostly, software as a service type health tech. But we've really had to look outside of Williamson County and even outside of Tennessee for our investors. And I'd like to see that change. So like our student illustriously stated that subscription services, the way customers are reaching products have changed, especially in our target demographic. We are a subscription service. Our customers shop primarily online. Like Ikdeep said, e-com is growing. It's not going to backslide into brick and mortar. So we're going to start seeing more opportunity for this. And Nashville is starting to do a good job at really supporting and fostering the startup ecosystem for all types of companies, not just health tech and not just real estate. So I think Franklin has an opportunity to capitalize on that. And I think a way to do that is to talk about it from an investment standpoint.
I would definitely say location, because Bill, the owner, Bill, he has lived in Brentwood for, probably 20 years now, and I was born and raised in Nolensville. And so he and I are both local people, and so being able to stay in Williamson County, not have to go all the way into downtown or all the way to Murfreesboro or whatever, just being able to stay close to home. And Matt Daniels, who also works for us as well, he lives in Franklin. And so definitely the location for us is a huge, huge benefit, just being able to be just right here, in a place where we've spent so many years of our lives. And not only that, but again, location-wise, the ability for customers to come and see us. Yesterday alone, we had a customer from Jackson, Tennessee drive over and come see us. Devlin Hodges came by yesterday. I've had customers from Mississippi drive up, Alabama, Kentucky, Ohio, Texas. Just it's a great central location that's easy to get to. I guess you could say. And I would say that that's definitely the biggest benefit for us.
I will say a lot of famous people use their product. So if you ever want a celebrity sighting, just stop by the Innovation Center. Odds are they have somebody coming through to get fitted for their product. That's awesome. Hallie, you want to transition back with some of the students?
So why don't you give us a really quick idea of what made you want to engage with your respective entrepreneurship programs at your schools? Like, what was the impetus for that? Either one.
So in 8th grade, they had a visit day sort of thing where we came and got to learn about the high school classes. And they had a presentation on Capstone, and I just thought it was the coolest thing. I loved Shark Tank. My mom has always watched it with me, and being able to participate in a thing like that was super interesting. And so going from freshman to senior year, I did every EL class that I could. And so, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Perfect. Grace?
Yeah, I mean, kind of like I talked about earlier, it was just, a new opportunity because the program's only 3 years old. So when they came to our school to talk about it, and it was all this state-of-the-art facility, laser printers, huge screen, I was like, I've got to be a part of this. And so it's been a really great opportunity.
And I'll just hop another one in there. So what's been the most surprising thing to you in the process of ideating and creating a sustainable business, right? A business that will hopefully go on in perpetuity. Grace, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I'll start. Well, so kind of how everything played out in my life, it was kind of a natural process on how the business, was a party business to how it was now a subscription business. But I think the hardest part is just how many different ups and downs there are. There'll be 1 month where we, released our camping crate and we got 100 sales that week, and it was awesome. And then the next, quarter we released our space crate and it was 40. And it's well, what did we do wrong? Was it the timing? Was it the marketing? How did we go from this really big high to this, low? And I think one of the best parts about the Entrepreneurship Center that I'm in is that having a mentor. And I lucked out on the mentor jackpot because he has just been so encouraging. And, even during the different seasons, how he's, been through those kinds of things, but also just encouraging in that whole process.
Yes, understanding that entrepreneurship is very much a road that goes like this is one of the most important lessons to learn. Sophie?
Yeah, so I learned the same lesson that Grace did, but in a different way. So with our Capstone class, we created a venture, but we haven't launched it. But the idea of Capstone is that you're ready to launch upon graduation. And so in creating our venture, we kept hitting roadblocks, and I didn't expect to hit as many as I did because I'm used to problem solving as getting a problem and then immediately solving it. But with creating a product, you have to solve a problem, and then you get feedback, and then you solve more problems. And so I was surprised and excited by the feedback that I got from our various judges throughout different rounds of our competition and our mentors. And it was just very valuable, and so I learned that.
Perfect. Yes, it is an iterative process. Right, Nick?
So pivoting just a little bit, one of the things we always talk about any event is workforce and just how tight things are right now, and that trying to find new people being really difficult. And I know especially in a small business, if you are a team of 5, losing one person or gaining one person is really significant. So I'm curious from your all's perspective, what's the market like right now? Claire, you recently relocated somebody here, but from the people that you have brought onto your team since you've been involved, what's that been like?
Well, we'll just keep me going first.
I can go first.
That's all right. Like I said, I did a lot of work in the textile industry and also nonwovens, which is where I live now. So we have a lot of roots in manufacturing. We're also an ag tech company, so we work with our growers from Farm Forward. And so we have agricultural arms, manufacturing arms, then product arms and brand. On the product and brand side, we have never once had to recruit anybody. We have people begging to come work for Trace because it resonates with them. They see the success that's on the horizon, and it's really cool what we're doing. So, I think that's important for businesses to have a mission and a purpose that really resonates with their workforce to where you're all working collectively towards something greater that will outlast our lives. On the manufacturing side, that's been a different story. So our primary manufacturers are in Europe. And that is because there's actually no contract manufacturing for our product in the United States, something we are actively working on and trying to get a Tennessee tampon factory going. I just wanted to call it a Tennessee tampon. And, you know, they've had their own problems with COVID, and as a client of theirs, this is part of our vetting process, is so what is your workforce? How are you handling these ups and downs with COVID outbreaks? But we're in Germany manufacturing, so they're very industrious. They are able to be very modular in their manufacturing, to be agile in that way to address those problems. Of course, now we're dealing with like energy issues because of Ukraine. So, and then on the agricultural side, it's a different set of problems. So there's a lot of immigrant labor, so regulatory things, political things that we advocate for to make that door a little more open. And then part of what we're doing as a brand to help facilitate better workforce recruitment on the ag side is paying our growers a fair price. So we source all of our materials from the United States, and we pay, we pay 2.5 times more for one of our materials than our direct competitors, because we know that growers and ag workforce deserve a living wage. So the good news is our customers really like that too and are willing to pay a premium price point for our product, so that trickles down. But starting with purpose, leading your company in a way that, like Ikdeep was saying, where financial metrics are just a part of your compass. And that's really been a magic sauce for us, to where we haven't had any problems pulling people into the company.
Yeah, we haven't really had trouble finding people to work for us. The problem was, being a startup, was affording it, like I said, I was the first employee, so for almost a full calendar year, it was just me. I did all the phone calls, the emails, the online chats, order fulfillment, marketing, sales, repairs, warranty. I mean, literally everything. I didn't call the shots. I just got told what to do, and it was everything. And so but again, it wasn't a problem of finding people. The problem was being able to afford somebody. And so we hired Matt last February or March of 2021, and that was a huge help. And he kind of helped control the bleeding for about 2 weeks, and then we started treading water again, and then we're able to afford to hire 2 more people here in the last 6 months, and they have been a tremendous, tremendous help. But with the growth of the company, we're treading water again. And so we're actually looking to hire more people as well, and we're actually going to be hiring 2 students from the Williamson County EIC this summer as interns, thanks to Mr. Jeremy over there. And so that's going to be a tremendous help as well. I wish I could stay year-round and help me out, but, I'll take them for 3 months like I can.
That's awesome. Just building on next, I think it's related to people, obviously. You started a business at a really interesting time, both of you. And the option to remote work plays in interestingly when you're looking for a space. So talk about why you all chose to be in a physical space at our innovation center. Talk about why that space is important to you, and maybe why you chose not to just go virtual like many startups did at the beginning of COVID.
Yeah, so like I said, I started Trace in May of 2020, according to the IRS, in August of 2020. But had been working on this project and building supply chain for it since 2018. So I was fortunate to have a network to draw upon in starting that business. It was actually very helpful to start during that time, because it made certain folks and certain entities more accessible to me to get things off the ground, and as we were doing our first round of fundraising. But, as things got more complicated, at the time I was a one-woman show doing everything. I was like, oh my God, I need so much help right now. And so needed to bring on some partners. just like what you were alluding to earlier, that it is so difficult to have true collaboration without a physical space, or Matt was mentioning it. So something about body language, energy, exchanging of ideas, and just workflow efficiency, which is so critical for a startup. So inefficiency in a startup is a killer, right? So we knew that we needed a physical space to where we could meet, to where we could work with our interns. Sophie was one of our interns last year. To where we could host meetings and really nail down the nitty-gritty of a relationship. Again, for a startup, partnering with people you can trust, judging their character and their vitality is absolutely critical, and you can really only do that face-to-face across a table to do a deal that's really important. So we knew we needed a physical space, and the first time we were all together, it was magic. I was like, wow, we got more done in an hour than what used to take us like 4 hours. And then for me as CEO and managing all of our different arms of the company, it's so much easier to manage and keep a bird's eye view on everything that's happening in a physical space versus a digital space. That said, you guys know this, they're like, where's Claire? We have to travel a lot and also have 3 school-aged children. So we have really relied on that hybrid model and that flexibility. You know, the days where I know it's going to be like a 15-hour day, I don't come into the office because I don't want to take the hour to commute. So, you know, we aren't fully in the office 100% of the time, but having that anchoring space was really critical for us.
Like I said, when the hiring process for a startup company, the affordability aspect, in Williamson County, being able to find office space also has an affordability aspect. And so that was the biggest reason why we stayed at Bill's house for so long. I mean, we outgrew Bill's house within 3 or 4 months of me starting to work there. But we didn't have much of a choice because rent prices everywhere were so sky high. COVID really took a toll on that as well. And then along came the Heritage Foundation, and Jeremy got us linked up with them. And just, again, being able to have an office space that isn't costing us an arm and a leg in such a fantastic location. I mean, we right off the square in downtown Franklin. And so that's been a true blessing. But just in terms of having an office building, like I said before, the ability to have customers to come in and be able to sit down in an office or not have to rely on a phone call, because our products do rely on a lot of touches. It's a very complicated process and a very complicated product that's very, very new to an industry that has had earplugs for forever. And so being able to have people come in to where we can sit down, have them demo. I'm sure Claire's here, sick of hearing me blowing my duck call in the office, but just the ability to have people to come by and help out and not have to worry about phone calls, because I hate phone calls. And so just like having a physical space to have people to come by has been a tremendous blessing.
That's great. Allie, I know we're up against the gun here. Do you have another question you want to?
Yes, I'd just like to hear, and I think the audience would love to know too, what's next for the two of you? First, please patronize Grace, buy one of her boxes, right? Maybe 10 of them, right? Everybody has kids, nieces, nephews. So would love to know what you're doing next. Will you take this to Baylor with you? Will you take Safe Straw to Middlebury with you? Tell us what's next, and do you think you'll be a lifelong entrepreneur?
So I'm very fortunate to have a team who worked on this venture with me that's very passionate about it, and we are going to be pursuing it. We already have plans to come back to Nashville for a pitch competition next February, and we're planning to fly to each other's colleges for pitch competitions as much as we can. We have a group of people who are already interested in investing in our product, and we have a very big college who wants to get our product on their campus like as soon as possible. And so it's been amazing to see like how excited people are, and since it's such a very serious issue, sexual assault awareness is something that I want to be able to spread, and my product is very precious to me. It's my baby, and I want to be able to take it with me. And so I'm going to Middlebury College, which is in Vermont, and I'm going to be an English major, but I'm going to be pursuing Safe Straw while I am at college.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Sophie. Grace?
Yeah, well, the program has really kind of changed the trajectory of like what I thought I was going to do. So I'm actually going to Baylor University next year to study entrepreneurship, and my long-term goal would be to bring this company back to Nashville. So through the help of my mentor, we're kind of talking about the process of like what that'll look like next year as running it from, 11 hours away, which my mom is not happy about. But that's kind of the biggest struggle is like, how do we have the sustainable business, but how do we continue growing it? And, at this point, it's kind of like we need investing, we need marketing, and so that's really the great thing about college is learning how to really, market and Facebook ads. Facebook ad is, expensive and hard. I don't know how my grandma does Facebook. I have trouble with it. So it's really been a great experience, but I'm excited to see where the Lord will take this business.
Well, we're excited to have you thinking about returning to the Nashville area, greater Nashville area. And I know Nick has an office space waiting for you.
We do. Whenever you're ready. We have 3 open right now, so
perfect.
Sooner the better. If I can wrap up with one question that I think all of you probably have an answer to, especially with the mission of your companies. We talk about culture a lot, and it's often wondered if that's something that leaders really have to drive to push to keep the culture of their business, or if it's organic, when the mission speaks so loudly for your company, if it just happens naturally. So I'm curious, from all of your perspectives, how cognizant are you of the culture that your company has, whether you're just at the infant stages growing it, or as you bring people on, how important is that?
Well, I'll start. Incredibly important and something that's top of mind on the regular. So I have 2 partners. I was a clinician. I'm a women's health nurse practitioner. One of my partners was a physician, and we both left clinical practice because of burnout. So, and we're also both moms. We've got 5 school-aged children between us. So having a family-friendly culture and a human-first culture, we really have to be intentional about that because this is our baby. And it can be very easy to work all night, to work in the, I've got a desk for my bed now. So having that boundary setting from an intentionally has been really important. Our third partner, like I said, was with Procter & Gamble for 25 years, and he left because he didn't believe in how they were running their company from an environmental standpoint, and why he was so excited to join Trace, because hemp is really good for the environment. So he really reminds us always to live with integrity at the company and to practice what we preach. So, we're going to get rid of the K-cups at the office eventually, you guys, right? Yeah. Oh, good. You don't use it. So
someday, Claire. Again,
keeping mission at heart and center in a way that we're living with integrity in our personal lives and at the office, and then just keeping each other in check on being welcoming to, if we have a sick kid or if we just need a break, if we need a half day to rest. Remembering that we're in this for the long haul and we don't want to burn ourselves out, and we want to bake that into our culture from the beginning.
I would say from a culture standpoint, it's very easy to not only get the employees to buy into the mission statement, if you will, but it's very easy to get our customers to buy into it as well. We actually ran a marketing campaign this past duck season called the Cold Hard Truth campaign. The cold hard truth about hunting and duck hunting and hunting in general. The biggest call out in it was the negative health consequences that come with hearing loss. I'm not sure if any of you all are aware of this, but you're actually 3 times as likely to develop early onset dementia and Alzheimer's if you have hearing loss. Yeah, no, big gasp, right? Now, that's the same thing that I said when I heard about it too. But I believe 1 out of 9 waterfowl hunters wear hearing protection, and we're trying to make that 9 out of 9. It was kind of a bold campaign because the statement was wear something. Doesn't have to be Tetra. It could be one of our competitors. It can be foam earplugs, cotton balls. We don't care. Just do something. Obviously, we would prefer if it was our products. But just we're trying to change the narrative on how hearing protection is associated with hunting and shooting. And our customers, not only our employees, but our customers have bought into that with an incredible amount of intensity. Matter of fact, yesterday I was scrolling through Instagram, and one of our competitors posted something on their feed, and one of our customers got on their post and commented how much he loved his Tetras. And so, but again, it's the culture is big for us, but it's so cool coming from the first employee. It's so cool to see everybody else fighting for us, because initially we had to push our name. We had to, say, hey, look at us. Yeah, we're so small as a startup company, but now we've got other people to do it for us. So I just get to sit back and watch now. And so it's been really cool to see that culture sort of evolve and come to fruition. And I'm excited to see where it goes, too.
Awesome. Grace and Sophie, do you have thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, so as a high school senior, there's a lot of nights that I've given up to work on this, forfeit hanging out with friends to build, my Kids Create Fun Create boxes, but it's having that goal in mind. If you don't work hard, you're not going to succeed. And so that's what my parents have taught me. And so I work hard and I want to be successful. And at my local church, they teach a group of 5th grade girls, and I want them to see me succeed. And I want them to see, a woman in business. And I've been so lucky to be so inspired by, countless women in my life who have executive level roles and are crushing it and doing amazing. And that's kind of what I want to be a role model to.
So the mission of our company is to prevent drug-facilitated sexual assault from the other side of the bar, taking responsibility off of the victim. And so everyone we talk to about this is passionate about it, which is very lucky for us. Everybody knows somebody or has been somebody who's experienced sexual assault, because the numbers are 1 in 5 women and 1 in 17 men. And so the 3 of us, me and my team, are all very passionate about this and have had to learn how to manage our work-life balance in a very safe way by doing it through BGA's EL program. And so since we have this mission that we're all working towards, we're all very excited about it.
Fantastic. Well, please join me in thanking. And thank you, Hallie, as well, for letting us be in your space. So I think we now have about a 15, 20-ish minute break. 15-minute break, Matt says. So listen for the cymbals or the chimes out in the lobby, and please come back in quickly when you hear those. Visit the Pedigree Foundation and the other sponsorship booths out in the lobby. Thank you all.
All right. All right. Thanks so much, Abby. Appreciate that. Thanks so much, everybody, again, for the generosity of your time today. Weren't those entrepreneurs fantastic, especially the students? That was great. It's great to see. Absolutely. The future workforce of our community in Middle Tennessee, just fantastic. So really excited for this next and final panel today. This is focused on companies that have relocated or established their headquarters here over the last year. In fact, last year, 6 companies announced they'll be relocating their headquarters to Williamson County, 5 in the first 6 months of last year, and 1 at this event last year. Those that were here saw the announcement of Educational Media Foundation, the parent company of K-Love, currently building a new headquarter operation in Berry Farms. Williamson County makes up 3.5% of the entire population of Tennessee, but we account for 20% of all the management jobs in the entire state. We've become a magnet for corporate headquarters in the last 2 decades, and jobs connected to these headquarters are high-paying jobs, which provides our residents with increased purchasing power that benefits our small businesses. Today, we're going to hear from a few of the executives who've made the decision to relocate or establish their companies in Williamson County and learn why Williamson County remains a hot spot for headquarters. So it's my pleasure to introduce Nathan Zipper. He's our Vice President of Business Development and Investor Relations, and co-moderating this panel will be our Economic Development Partner and CEO and owner of Zeitlin Sotheby's International Realty, Jessica Averbush. The floor is yours.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Good morning. Again, my name is Nathan Zipper. And I'm just thrilled about this panel. I mean, I spend the majority of my work, or majority of my time, I should say, working with companies who are working to either relocate or establish their presence in Williamson County. And so these are my people. And so I'm excited to share their stories with you. So we're going to jump right into it with introductions. I'd like to start down there with Jessica. Again, introduce yourself, talk a little about your company, and then we'll just kind of move down this direction.
Thank you, Nathan, so much. Well, again, my name is Jessica Averbush. I'm the owner and CEO of Zeitlin Sotheby's International Realty. We so value our partnership with the Chamber, and being here this morning just reinforces that. First, Ick Deep made me want to go work at Mars, but I think I need to stick with what I'm doing. But I was so inspired by that, and then of course seeing the panel of entrepreneurs, the students, was just incredible. So I just want to thank you all and the way that you support us and inspire us and bring us all together, which is wonderful to be together today. So again, Zeitlin Sotheby's International Realty is a residential real estate brokerage. We offer full service to our clients. So we have an in-house mortgage company, a title company, and amazing associates. I am so proud today looking out and seeing at least 25 of you who are here. As you all know, the residential real estate market is moving at a very fast pace, and so just the fact that they've taken the time this morning to be here shows their commitment to Williamson County, how much they want to be in the know and supportive of the business community and all of you who live here. So real quickly, we were founded in 1979. We are very much a homegrown company. Shirley Zeitlin founded our company. I'm the second generation family owner. You know, real estate has been a huge silver lining of the last couple years, and it's an incredible thing to see the growth in our region. So I'm just very glad to be here today and to talk to these brave leaders who either relocated or started businesses in Williamson County. So I'm going to jump right in, and we'll just go down the line in the interest of time. And really would love to hear from each of you. Why did you decide to start or relocate your business in 2021? And what drew you to Williamson County?
Okay, well, good morning. George Hampton, Curex Pharmaceuticals, President and CEO. We needed three things really as we were looking to reestablish ourselves outside of the Northeast. We moved from New Jersey. If you're in pharma or biotech, you must have a university system that can support research. And between Vanderbilt, Lipscomb, the great things that are happening at Belmont, Meharry, I think there's some opportunities there. This area of the country was ripe for pharmaceutical investment in that space. The second thing is talent. I mean, I think we know what's happening from a talent perspective moving into the Nashville area. I mean, it's no city's benefited more, I don't think, than the influx of great talent. And then finally, innovation. And the state has just committed so many resources, and Middle Tennessee has committed so many resources to innovation, specifically in digital healthcare. We're in the business of creating medicines. My personal opinion, I think the opinion of most of my peers, that new medicines will be paired with digital technologies that will help the patient do better than just the pill alone or the injection alone, and hopefully help the entire community along with it. So Middle Tennessee really fit all three of those.
And tell us where you came from.
We moved from New Jersey. Yeah, so Princeton area, kind of Morristown, Princeton area, New Jersey. Yeah.
Okay, you're next.
Hi, my name's Tim Culbertson. I'm the CFO at Gutter Glove, and we've been here for just over a year. And we actually started by moving one of our manufacturing facilities to Laverne a year ago. So we've been open there since last January. And we opened our corporate headquarters here in Franklin this January. And I don't know what's going to happen next January, but I hope it's not another crazy move. You know, for us, it was really just, it started with the factory. So it started with trying to find a location that was closer to our customers and get ahead of that Amazon effect where the expectation is that product gets to you so much more quickly. And then through that experience of, you know, being here in Middle Tennessee, meeting the folks, it really became apparent to us that we should also look at moving our corporate headquarters here too. And so that's what we did. Just the access to great talent, great place to live, and it's been a great experience for us.
Wonderful. Charlie?
Good morning. My name is Charlie Carroll, and I'm President and CEO of IBT, which is Integrated Biometric Technology. We are a security, biometric, and identity management company, fundamentally a technology company. And people always ask the question, what's biometrics? And most people have never heard of anything that we do or the type of software, but I typically just refer them to a program that we did for the federal government, TSA, called Tsa Pre-Check. I developed the front end and the back end technology piece and established 1,200 enrollment centers throughout the United States, and it literally changed the travel industry, which I believe for the good. If you've also had to go through a criminal history record check for a job, what we call the applicant market, state and federal government requires certain industries to go through a criminal history record check with a biometric. you have gone through one of my centers, my partners, but definitely using our technology. I moved our first company here, or the first IBT in 2000, to Nashville from the Cincinnati, Dayton, Ohio area, and grew that company into a very large company. I say very large. By 2019, we were well over $600 million a year, on our way to $1 billion through outside acquisition, and over $100 million in EBITDA. And at that point, I decided, I woke up one night in a wild sweat and thought, why am I making a private equity company $150 million a year and me not having any more stock? We'd gone through numbers of mergers, acquisitions, because we were growing and extremely successful. So I started the new IBT, or the reimagined IBT, in October of 2020. I've lived in Green Hills and also Williamson County for the last 20 years, out in the Laurelbrook area. We had moved our big company out over on Cool Springs and Crothers. So we had 2 floors over there, employed a couple hundred people. So when I started over again, I actually looked at whether or not I'd go back to Ohio, Cincinnati, Dayton area. I have other businesses there. I have family there. And then I looked very seriously and started considering and asking the question, why would I not stay in Williamson County? And to me, there's no comparison with the business environment, the pro-business attitude towards whether you're a big company or you're a startup company. It's been a great experience. And as I said, we do a lot of TSA, DHS, high classified software development programs. So not only am I recruiting highly qualified software engineers and developers, but I need people of good character, and there's no better place and there's not a better sales opportunity than to bring people to Williamson County versus where we were considering in Ohio. From a school district, education, and all the things that we all are aware of, there was no question. And Nathan's group was very aggressive and very proactive in helping us make what ended up being a very easy business decision.
Well, that was our panel. Thanks, Charlie. We'll, and that was awesome, man. You hit all the high notes for us. Thank you so much, and thanks for Tsa Pre-Check. I think that's probably the best $80 I've ever spent in my life. So, yeah, round of applause for Tsa Pre-Check.
I was just going to say the same thing. Yeah, I traveled twice last week, and without pre-check, I might have missed a flight.
Yeah, it was a no-brainer. So thanks again for that. So kind of keeping with this theme of when you decided to either relocate here or launch here, I'd love to hear a little bit about what that response was like for you and in what ways you felt the community embrace you. And we can start back down here with George and make our way back down.
Well, yeah, the area's been great. I mean, the chamber's been incredible. We're moving into one of the hottest healthcare markets in the entire country, right? With Nashville, it might be actually the hub of healthcare. We're kind of the tip of the spear for pharma and biotech that is absolutely moving out of the Northeast and out of Northern California. They are moving and they're going to select somewhere else. It's oversaturated, and frankly, people don't want to live there anymore. And Nashville offered a great quality of life. All the things Charlie said, I won't repeat them, are absolutely true. And the local leadership here in Williamson County and really in all Middle Tennessee, through the chamber and through the government, has been absolutely terrific in setting up an environment where we can be successful.
Yeah, I think for us it was a chance to find a place with access to great talent and a place where we could find, we have a handful of folks that relocated from Northern California, and it felt like home right away. Feels like a very family-friendly place. And for us, just the access to talent has really been impressive. Couldn't be happier to be here.
I think likewise. I mean, we want access to good talent. And when you think of highly skilled software engineers and developers, Nashville and Nashville area is a medical hub. And so there's a lot of competition for recruitment of these types of people, particularly with all the tech companies coming here. But for me, being able to locate in Williamson County, the networking opportunity to support by business, the chamber, and last but not least, and I don't think we recognize, we just have good people, good quality people that are friendly, they're engaging. It's easy for people to make transition into Williamson County. And a lot of people are coming from California, coming from New York, coming from upper East Coast, and it's a big deal. They're used to people being rude, crude, and socially unacceptable, right? And so to get here, without fail, there's always the comment and recognition of the friendliness of the people and how good the community is.
I would echo that. I grew up in East Texas, and moving here felt like coming home after being on the West Coast, and so couldn't be more excited to be here, really.
Well, I know there's so many reasons why we all want to live and work here, but I'm curious, there had to have been some challenges. And I'm curious, what were some of the more specific challenges that you faced? And don't blame the realtor. I'm sure one of them was housing. But I'd love to hear, just for each of you, what the challenges were.
I'll go first again. You guys are with that? The challenges have been very minimal. And I think the environment that's been created allows for that easy transition in that's already been described. For me specifically in biotech and pharma, we don't necessarily have an executive talent level or pool of executives that have experience in pharma. So I still have a number of high-level executives that are flying in from different parts of the country, but I think every time they fly in, it's getting closer and closer to a move. So I think I got them hooked. But I think this is a real opportunity. Nashville can attract and really be an owner of a lot of the incoming biotech and pharma people who are moving. And if we do that, it's a whole nother level of executives and talent pool that'll come behind it. And they're great paying jobs. So.
Yeah, I think for us, part of it was there's a deep manufacturing history in the area. And so, obviously first we put our factory in Laverne, and we were very quickly able to hire great talent there that understood, manufacturing. And we found the same as we've built out the executive team here in Williamson County. It's just been a very, very good experience.
I think one of my biggest challenges for bringing people into the area is being able to accurately describe that Jack Daniels is not that far away. People hear so much about the bourbon in the area, but in all seriousness, I think it's for us is the housing. If you're coming from California or New York, people tend to have more money to spend. But if you're not coming from those areas, you're coming from the Midwest or the Deep South, housing is expensive here. And it's hard to find in a short period of time. And so one of our major challenges have been being able to find affordable housing for all levels of our company, not just executive, but at all levels, and being able to do it where it's relatively close to our offices, which are at Crothers and McEwen Road.
So I want to go back to a little bit of conversation about corporate culture. And I'd written this specifically for Tim, but I'm also ultimately going to ask all of you all to kind of speak to it. So I recently had and I think some folks in this room too, we're at an event with Gutter Glove CEO Matt Smith talking about your corporate culture and how it's become a differentiator for you, especially in such a tight labor market. I love it for you to kind of tell that story in your own words about what your corporate culture is like. And then George and Charlie, I'd like you both to kind of speak to when you think about culture and your recruiting, what does that look like in your respective companies? But Tim, lead us off if you would.
Sure, thanks. Yeah, culture is extremely important to us. There's a couple of things that we focus on. One is we've just started working with the Great Places to Work for All. So that's a survey program that we ask all of our team members sort of a whole range of questions, and we'll be getting the results of that actually this week. So super excited to see that, and then being very intentional about the follow-through. The second area is what we call our We Care program, which is sort of a confidential way to gather feedback. And again, that's a program that we've launched this year just to be very intentional about understanding any underlying issues that we may be facing and really reacting to those quickly. Another program that's super important to us is what we call the House of Innovation. You know, we're a manufacturing company and a creative company in that way. And so we have a program where we're tapping into all of our team members to get ideas about the next levels of innovation. And we task our executive team with quick follow-up and you know, following through on those great ideas. And so those are some of the areas where you know, that culture of innovation is super important to us and that we're trying to continue to drive it forward.
Charlie, you want to talk a little bit about?
Yeah,
sorry, you want to talk a little bit about culture and what it looks like at IBT?
Yeah, we've been doing things, I believe, cutting edge long before, you know, it was a buzzword of the culture of the company. I mean, we've always recruited our people in a manner that they're more like family than they are like workers. From how we address them, our operations, we don't have HR, we have people operations, we call things different. From day one, I've always provided at least once, if not 2 or 3 times a week, breakfast for our employees, bringing in a chef to be able to show as a small token of appreciation that we appreciate how hard they work. But I think why we have such an advantage and why we attract people is we emphasize, and I think this is something that people want, is it's about not the job, it's about the mission and the purpose. And so we've been extremely successful of being able to emphasize that, you know, not only do you have an opportunity to make a great living with a great wage and all the benefits and profit sharing and all those kinds of things, but we are able to emphasize you have the opportunity to do something that makes a difference in people's lives. You know, when I started the first business, we used to track through our software the number of pedophiles that we would identify that had been convicted in other states that were trying to get jobs as school teachers with another state. And they were using a fake identity. And so we tracked that for years and tracked number of safety instances at airports because we believe we were making the airports a safer environment once you get through the security. So we've always had an emphasis on purpose and being able to impact people, and what you do on a day-to-day basis makes a difference in people's lives. And oh, by the way, you're going to make a great living at doing that. And when we came over and took our office space, we took 30,000 square feet on a startup, right? We had 8 full-time people, and I told them your biggest challenge is to bring breadcrumbs so you can find your way around the office because we believe that we will grow, and we are growing, and we'll hire a lot of people. But most importantly is we have flexibility. You're required to come to the office, but not every day. And so we have people manage their own schedule. If you're required because of an operation or because of a project, you come to the office. And so it's the collectiveness of all those things, but we are a purpose-driven, mission-driven organization, and that always helps attract and retain people.
That's fabulous. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know how much I have to add on that. That's exactly right. When people realize they're contributing to something bigger than themselves, they tend to show up more often and with the purpose in mind of what we're trying to accomplish. For Curex, we founded the company 3 years ago with the idea that we could take on and attack the number 1 and number 2 preventable deaths in the United States. That's obesity and smoking, and everything flows from that mission. Right, and right now we have one of the top anti-obesity medicines in the marketplace, and we have a phase 3 program with the FDA for anti-smoking medication, which would be the first product since 2006 that's been approved by the FDA for smoking cessation. So, and it's not because I do it every day. It's because we have great people who are really committed to, making such a difference in other people's lives that they show up. Below the big mission, I mean, I think Tim had some great ideas. He's obviously California cool, right? He's dressed nice, right? And I'm khakis and blue shirts with a blue jacket. So I have to push all the fun down because I'm not fun anymore, I guess. But if you a mission statement that's on my personal mission statement and on my wall is I just want to do great work that matters with people I like and respect. And if you can build that into your hiring process, you're going to win, and you're going to win big.
Well, the next question we wanted to ask is you always hear people talk about how pro-business it is here. And I'm going to start with Charlie. I would want you just for a second to think about someone who doesn't live here says, I'm thinking about moving my business to Tennessee or to this region. How would you describe the business climate? What stories would you share with them about what it's like to run your business from here?
Well, I think we always have an advantage when we can get people to come. Right? I mean, I think the area is so great with so many different types of attractions and different types of activities and businesses. So, I always like to talk about how great the area is and the business climate, pro-business. And, you think about some of the communities that are struggling with some of the fundamental principles of defund the police, and they're struggling with whether or not prosecutors are going to uphold the law, and when people commit a crime, they're releasing them right away. And I have the opportunity to talk about how good the business environment is, but it also includes the community, which is government. And I think we have a great local government that is not only pro-business, it's supportive of families. And, it's not much of a sales pitch. You always start with Tennessee has no sales tax. And then, it's not a hard sell because the difference between Williamson and Davison and the advantage here is so much better than most other counties is that I really sell the community. I sell the opportunity to be involved in community and church, other activities, and it ends up being a fairly easy sale.
I agree. I mean, we find that all the time. I mean, our phones are ringing because people want to be here. And so tell me, do either one of you want to add to that?
I do. I think what's interesting is, we have a manufacturing operation, and then we have our corporate headquarters, and this area is welcoming to both. And so the partnership between the counties has been really, really great. We're in Rutherford and we're in Williamson, and so I think that's one of the appeals to the area is that we have folks in our manufacturing that are able to, purchase a home and live a comfortable life. We have people in our corporate office that can do the same, and so I think that's a sort of an underappreciated value to this area.
Yeah, I think we just pointed to 2 news articles that hit my feed yesterday. One was Adam's article in the Journal that showed Nashville's #2 in job growth, right, which is pretty incredible. And the other was a Monmouth poll from New Jersey that said 60% of people want to leave New Jersey. And it's true. I mean, yeah, right. And I will verify that. I'll tell you, when we said we're moving to Nashville out of New Jersey, every employee put their hand up and said, I want to move to Nashville. And we made the decision that for most jobs, we terminated the New Jersey employment. We rehired local people here in Nashville, just as part of kind of the idea of coming into the community the right way. So it's not just what we're seeing, but it's you can see it nationally.
Thinking about corporate philanthropy, and George, I'm going to start with you, and then if you gentlemen want to add in on this, you can. I've been impressed by how quickly you all have given back. And I'm thinking specifically about the initiative that you pursued in December with the transitional housing, and you can speak a little bit to that. But talk a little bit about your, just kind of what's your philosophy on corporate philanthropy, and what is it? Is that just your DNA that you've given back that quickly and gotten that plugged in? Like, where does that come from?
Well, I think it's a lifetime in healthcare. Pharmaceutical companies, if we're doing our jobs right, we're part of a solution that creates a more healthy society. and you can't create that on a macro level unless you create it on a micro level. And so it's part of what we do with both our money and our time. So we carve out opportunities for people, corporately, for people to go donate their time for things like Second Harvest Food Bank. We did I think in December last year. We're going to do Clean Up Williamson in next week or 2 weeks from now. Donations, though, we focus on healthcare. We like to focus on kids as well. The homeless piece was really, an easy one for us, because if you're thinking about a healthy community, you get people who are transitioning at a very fragile time, right? They're trying to move from homeless to get a home. Will you give money to that? Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll give money to that, right? And so that's not a hard one. That's a moment in time where you can support someone to where the entire community becomes more healthy. But we look for these opportunities with the Salvation Army, the Boys and Girls Club of America. We're a very acquisitive company. We've acquired a lot of companies, and when we do that, there's usually a lot of capital equipment laying around. And so we usually take all that capital equipment and we donate it either to schools or to other institutions that can benefit students that don't have access to those type of things on a daily basis. I think we made a pretty big donation. We have a number of migraine products, and we made a pretty big donation to buy helmets for a local football team, right, for the kids. So it's just health-minded more than anything else, really.
Yeah, so our giving program started years ago when we actually weren't making as much money, and our founder and CEO decided to allocate 1% of revenue to donate each year. And at the time, that was a pretty big deal, and it still continues today, and it's a big deal. We also have a program that we give 8 hours of volunteer time, so all team members are able to take 8 hours to volunteer where they would like to serve back in the community. And then at the end of the year, we ask team members to allocate funds to some charitable organizations that serve the local population, and then write handwritten notes to go along with the donation check. And then we give all of our team members the week between Christmas and New Year's off as Project Griswold. You can guess where that comes from, but it's just another way to kind of pour back into the community.
Interestingly, when we think about contributing and how we support, we immediately think financial, which I think is a very important aspect of giving back to community and good causes. But like these two gentlemen, we not only do that, we're always looking for great causes, but we also give of our time, our energies. I'm a big believer that whether you say what goes around comes around or you reap what you sow, if you're blessed and you're doing well, it always is incumbent upon us to give back. And for years and years, we've been deeply involved with disabled veterans. And long before you heard a lot about it, we actually went to Washington, D.C. and signed a national agreement that said in our enrollment centers, and at the time we had over 1,200, that we would give first opportunity for employment to disabled vets. And then we do a lot of things from different types of celebrations and banquets and entertainment for these disabled vets. And in some ways it's getting better. We hear a lot about veterans that come back and there's housing that are being provided. But so many come back and are struggling from a mental and emotional perspective, is that we really try to support those organizations that provide counseling, that provide support, and it's not just for the individual members, it's for the entire family, because the family is impacted in a dramatic way. And so we invest ourselves in a couple different areas such as that, but that's our culture. We believe in not only supporting financially, we ask our team to do likewise, but then we also want to be involved on a person-to-person basis as well.
I think just one other thing it made me think of is, last year we launched new medicines around the world in all these different countries. It's really hard work. There's a lot of goes into it. And when we asked our employees what their favorite day of the year was, it was their volunteering at one of the events that we did. So it will pay off inside your company if you take the time to think about it.
Well, I want to commend all three of you for approaching it the way that you have. I mean, when I spend time talking with folks who are considering relocating here, one of the things that I stress to them is that it's going to be really important for you. It's important to us, therefore it's going to be important for you to figure out a way to get plugged in as quickly as possible and to give back to this community and to support it in a meaningful way. And that's not usually a hard sell. You know, people get that, but that's something that we stress in our work, and that you all are doing that already is a big deal. So thank you.
I love hearing you say that, just because I always say, if you give, you will get. And when you were talking about what's the best day of the year for your team, the day when we volunteer with Second Harvest and we sponsor our mobile food pantry, by far one of the best days of the entire year for all of us. So it's just incredibly rewarding. So thank you for everything you guys are doing for the community. Kind of towards the tail end of the first conversation with ICDEEP, we talked a little bit about the economy. There's been a lot of news even in the last couple days. So there's a lot of uncertainty around the economy, and I'm curious to get your takes. I'm also curious kind of what does give you comfort about doing business in Williamson County, kind of in this very dynamic economic time. So, do you want to go first, George?
Happy to. From an economy, I don't think I'm any smarter than anyone else, right? We're dealing with this globally. It's a macro issue that is not being solved by national governments anywhere around the world very well, I think. And so that puts more of a burden on us and more of a burden on the local communities to insulate ourselves and our communities from these different macro situations. So I don't think that's anything too insightful. But I will say this: back to those two articles. There is something about Middle Tennessee that there's something more than just the economy and more than the people. People are coming here, and I feel like we're insulated to some degree from everything else that's happening around the country and really around the world if you travel internationally. And as a new guy, I don't want to offer any suggestions on what to do different because it's whatever's been done here is really working well.
Yeah, I think the first thing that came to my mind is just communication. So for us, it's communicating to customers the expectation, and it's working more closely than ever with suppliers, and never taking the eye off the ball on meeting new folks, talking to different suppliers, and diversifying. So for us, it's been a more heightened effort and a more heightened sort of need for communication both ways.
I think for us is, being in this area, I can say there's a lot of economic advantages, but I have to tell you, the number of people, when they find out where we're located, they want to come visit us, right? Instead of us go visit them. And, whether it's a supplier or a potential customer or a potential team member we're trying to attract, beautiful thing about the internet is they Google our location, they Google the area, and they find out about all this cool information about how successful, how positive the environment is, and people want to come here. And for my business, lots of it is either through state and federal contracts. But we also have a division that does sports and entertainment. Fundamentally, I took the Tsa Pre-Check program, which was known as the Trusted Traveler, and created the Trusted Fan program, which means you have expedited lines into a stadium, you have expedited lines at the concession stand, your biometric is attached to a point of sale, and our sports community in this region is growing dramatically and successfully. And so when we talk about attracting and retaining people, it's a very, very healthy environment regarding not just business, but as well as sports and entertainment.
That's great. So we have just a few minutes left. I thought we would end with something light. So let's talk about politics. And I want you to think, as you all can think about continuing to grow and build your companies in this community, what policies do you feel are important for our elected officials to keep in mind to make sure that we keep that right environment that really embraces and encourages investment? And really, how important do you think is attainable housing and maintaining great schools?
affordable housing and yeah, rest at the area. I mean, who's not for attainable housing and great schools, right? I mean, put your hand up if you are. I don't know the solves for those. I think we have great schools in Williamson County. I know Davidson County is struggling a bit, and they've tried all kind of solutions that they continue to work through, as I understand it. So we can't give up on those. It's important. Again, back to the idea of what's being done here. I think there's some great models of what not to do, and you can probably interview the people who are moving to Tennessee to find out what that is. I'm not a politician. I'm not a city planner. But the people in Middle Tennessee have done an incredible job of just setting this up to where it is a easy transition. It's a great place to grow your business. It's a great place to find talent. It's a great place to raise your family. And if they can repeat that for years to come, I think we're going to continue to remain beneficiaries of the rest of the country moving here.
Yeah, I would echo some of that. It's been a very, very easy transition. I think we've all felt at home right away. The only thing that initially came to mind is just the density will have to increase. So there'll have to be some idea of additional dwelling units in the backyard or something to kind of bridge to when there's more housing.
I'm concerned about infrastructure. I'm not certain. At one point I heard there was 137 new people a day moving into the Nashville area. That may be low now compared to where we are, but we have to be able to keep up with infrastructure and be able to have good highways, good streets, good public services. So I'm concerned about that because if you've been here a while, and I've lived here for 20 years, and you see how crowded and how congested the roads are. Now, I think there's a lot going on in a positive way in Williamson County, but I think it comes down to leadership. I think we have good, strong leadership. And what we're going to have to fight going forward is a lot of people are coming from California, New York, and coming from other communities that they love what they see here. They love the pro-business, the pro-family environment, but I think it's through strong leadership that we don't go off on fringe to the left or right, and we become radical one way or the other, and we begin to change the environment that's taken years upon years to create.
Well done, well said, and well done. So that's the end of our panel. Just want to take a moment again to thank you all for not only participating, but for coming to this community, growing in this community, hiring our families and family members and neighbors and friends, and just the way that you're investing is tremendous, and just tremendously grateful. So please join me in thanking them, if you would. And now I would like to reintroduce our CEO and President, Matt Largent.
Thanks, Nathan. All right, thanks. Another round of applause for the panel. Great job. Great conversation. Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of great conversation, a lot of common threads throughout today. I'll just close with just a brief few minutes. I mean, you heard how much it comes down to the good, friendly people we have in Williamson County, Middle Tennessee. That's really important. Constructive, thoughtful, elected leadership, I think, is really important as well. Obviously, we hear a lot about housing and other challenges in our communities. And one of the things that we asked when we did our survey, we know we live in a great community. We know how lucky we are. We also know that there are some byproducts of this success. And so we asked the question, what are challenges for you to growth? And this is what they came up with and we asked in the survey. So finding talent with the right skills, competition for other employers. That's obviously Mars today because we're all going to make an application to Mars when we're done here, right? Traffic and congestion, you heard that in the last panel. Of course, affordable attainable housing. That's a challenge too. But I think, thinking about our elected leadership, it is election season right now in Williamson County. In fact, it's primary. The last day of early voting for primary is tomorrow. Primary election day is May 3rd. We've got a great site on our website, williamsonchamber.com/vote, to learn more about the candidates that are running. Some of the candidates are here this morning. Make sure you get a chance to talk to them. We recorded a Meet the Candidate series on Facebook Live. Make sure you check those out on the site. But we really want to make sure we create educated voters in our community, and that vote website certainly helps with that. So as we close with just a few things, one of the things that I've been sharing over the last couple of years is the number of ribbon cuttings we've done each year. So you can see what happened with the COVID year, but even the COVID year was the same as 2018. Right now, we're on pace to match or exceed what we did in 2020, and there are new businesses opening all the time. You saw the statistic earlier about the number of business establishments over the last 3 years, clearly reflected in the ribbon cuttings that we schedule for Williamson County. And finally, you can see the total sales tax distribution of the money that comes back into Williamson County from the state spent in Williamson County, and you can see over the last 3 years and a quarter that growth. You saw a little dip in 2020 with COVID, but it came right back up. You can see the pink line in 2021, and then you can look at what's happening in now and this year in terms of sales tax collection. Again, that's a great sign for this economy, is to have those at really high levels. And at the end of the day, you know, the conclusion, and you heard it from the last panel about being insulated from what happens in a macroeconomic stand, is that this economy is really built to be resilient. A quarter of all the Inc. 5000 fastest growing companies are here. I mentioned about all the different jobs in management, and 63% of our residents at least have a bachelor's degree. Those are exactly the kind of companies people are trying to hire. So you can feel good about being here. This is a great place to invest, to own a business, and to raise a family, and as we saw through COVID, to weather a pandemic. So thank you, Middle Tennessee. Thank you, Zeitlin Sotheby's, and for your attendance today. B&A for sponsoring. We've actually got a bag from United Communications, so make sure you get one of the bags they're giving on the way out. And thank you all for being here, and thank you for your continued investment in our community through your investment in Williamson Inc. Have a great day.